The air inside the luxury car dealership went from polished calm to piercing tension in an instant. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to leave now. You're disturbing the peace." The voice was sharp, impatient. It came from a tall, gray-haired man in a tailored charcoal suit. His tone held no hint of courtesy, just authority. His fingers dug lightly into the arm of the elegant black woman standing beside the latest Bentley model, her hands raised in shock and confusion. Around them, 3 police officers shifted slightly, arms crossed, watching. They hadn't been called for a crime, yet, but something about the manager's tone made them edge closer. The woman, stunning in a blush-toned dress and heels that clicked confidently across the floor minutes earlier, didn't resist. She just stared. Silent. Measuring. Before we continue, if you are watching our video for the first time, please bless and support us by hitting that subscribe button, turn on your notification bell to get notified for more, and share this with your friends. Where are you watching from? Please tell us in the comments. We love seeing how far our story goes. To our 200+ subscribers, thank you for being part of our growth. We appreciate you. Her name was Camille Jordan. What the manager didn't know, what none of them knew, was that she wasn't there to buy a car. She already owned every single one in the showroom. She owned the building, the cars, the logo, the staff, and he had just grabbed her arm. But she didn't react. Not yet. Camille slowly lowered her arms, locked eyes with the manager, and asked in a calm voice, "And what exactly did I do, sir?" He scoffed. "You walked in, snapping pictures, touching the merchandise, distracting my sales team. This place isn't a museum or a photo studio. You clearly can't afford to be here, and you're interrupting real buyers." The words sliced through the room like cold steel. The officers exchanged glances. The receptionist, young, nervous, lowered her head. A couple standing by a red Continental GT slowly drifted away, trying to look invisible. Camille breathed in. Slowly. Her eyes flicked toward the name tag pinned to his chest. Michael, General Manager. Not for long. She turned back to the officer standing nearest. "Do you see me breaking any law here?" The officer, caught between protocol and instinct, shook his head. "No, ma'am. But the manager says." "I asked if I broke any law." "No, ma'am." "Then I'd like to walk around. Quietly. I believe this is a place of business, not a plantation." Michael reddened. "Excuse me." "You heard me," she said. For a moment, it seemed as if all air had left the room. Then Camille walked past him, her steps measured and confident, trailing her fingers across the hood of a midnight blue flying spur. Michael lunged to follow. "Ma'am, I said you need to leave. I'm the manager here, and I don't take orders." Camille turned sharply. "You're right. You don't take orders from customers." "But I'm not a customer." She pulled a slim phone from her purse, tapped 3 times, then raised it to her ear. "Frankie, this is Camille Jordan. I'm standing in my Houston dealership, being manhandled by someone named Michael." "Who hired him?" There was silence. Then Camille said, "That's what I thought. Call the board. Now." 10 minutes later, the glass doors burst open. Frankie Givens, the dealership's director of operations, jogged inside, suit slightly wrinkled, tie askew, eyes wide. "Camille," he gasped. "I am. Oh my God, are you all right?" Camille nodded. She hadn't moved from her position in the center of the floor. "Physically, yes. Mentally, I've just been profiled, embarrassed, and denied access to my own investment." Frankie turned to the manager, whose confidence had now shriveled to pale confusion. "Michael," he said slowly, "you do realize this is Camille Jordan, founder, majority stakeholder, the very woman who signs your paychecks." Michael stammered. "She didn't say who she was. She didn't need to. You judged her by her skin and her dress." The officers now stepped back, hands behind their backs. One muttered, "Damn." Camille finally let the smile touch her lips. "Michael, when I walked in, you saw someone who didn't belong. You didn't ask me anything. You didn't offer service. You assumed." I thought she was." Michael tried to recover. "I've had shoplifters before. I was just trying to protect the merchandise. Frankie looked at Camille. She nodded once. Michael, he said coldly, you're relieved of your position. Effective immediately. You may collect your things and exit this property. But I've worked here for 9 years. Michael gasped. One mistake and I'm out. Frankie stepped forward. It wasn't just a mistake. It was arrogance. Discrimination. And if you can treat the owner this way, God knows how you treat the rest of our guests. Michael turned to Camille, eyes pleading. I didn't mean to offend you. I was just... You meant exactly what you did, she said calmly. You just didn't think I had power. The news spread like wildfire. The receptionist watched with wide eyes as Michael packed up his desk. She walked up to Camille, nervously. Ma'am, I'm sorry. I wanted to help, but... Camille smiled kindly. What's your name? Jade. You're promoted, Jade. From today, you'll assist directly with client relations and receive a mentorship grant for business school. I believe in lifting those who stand with truth. Tears welled in Jade's eyes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Camille looked at the officers and nodded. Thank you, gentlemen. You did your job fairly. Please inform your department that unconscious bias training is going to be sponsored here next month. Courtesy of me. That night, the news hit social media. Black CEO shuts down racism in her own business, with dignity. The video clip of Michael telling her to leave while gripping her arm went viral. Viewers across platforms applauded her poise. Influencers reposted her speech. You assumed. Because in your eyes, power never wears skin like mine. Her inbox exploded with messages, from CEOs, educators, single moms, even teenagers. But Camille didn't gloat. Instead, the next morning, she held a press conference in that same dealership. Reporters filled the room. Bright lights and microphones pointed at her. She stepped forward and said, Yesterday, I experienced something no woman, no human should endure. I was reduced to a stereotype in a building I built from sweat and dreams. She took a breath. But I'm not here to shame one man. I'm here to educate a system. Prejudice is not always loud. Sometimes, it whispers through assumptions. It shows up in who gets served first, who gets followed in stores, who gets doubted. She turned to the cameras. If you're in a position of power, remember this. Kindness and respect don't cost anything, but their absence can bankrupt a soul. Applause erupted. Days later, Camille announced a new initiative, the Jordan Experience. It would train staff across all her businesses in unconscious bias, empathy, and the power of inclusion. Any new hire would go through a rigorous people-first certification. But she didn't stop there. She launched a scholarship for young black women entering automotive engineering. She partnered with law enforcement for mutual awareness workshops. She even reached out to Michael privately, offering therapy and education instead of only condemnation. Because Camille wasn't just a boss. She was a builder. A month later, Jade stood in front of the same dealership. This time, in a fitted company blazer, holding the door open for a group of young interns touring the building. One of them whispered, Wait, isn't this the place where that CEO? Jade smiled. Yes. And I saw it all. That moment changed everything. Not just here, but for me. Inside, the showroom buzzed with customers from all walks of life. Smiles. Handshakes. Respect. In the corner, a portrait had been installed. Camille Jordan, founder. Power isn't just in ownership. It's in how you use it. Moral lesson. This story reminds us that judging someone based on appearances can blind you to the very brilliance you need. Prejudice doesn't just hurt the target, it cripples entire systems. True leadership doesn't just fight for status, it uplifts others. In every room you walk into, let your actions be laced with fairness, empathy, and integrity. This story was brought to you by Elliot Stories. See you on the next one. Elliot Stories cares.